right, hello again, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started now. Once again, this is our 1U digital training series, and today the topic is going to be RePurpose. It's a what I think is absolutely an awesome program that we've developed here to try to really reward our activists for taking action with us in a way that is most impactful and most meaningful. And so with that, like I said, we'll go ahead and get into it. I just want to briefly point your attention to the screen. My email address as well as my Twitter handle are both there. On Twitter, you can find me at Lee_Anderson. And my email address is landerson@AFL-CIO.org. Please follow me on Twitter. Please reach out to me via email if you have any questions that are still left unanswered by the time we're done with this training here. And with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Just one quick note before I really get into it. As far as question and answers are concerned, I try to encourage people to wait until the end of the call to pose any questions, and you can do that using the number 1 button on your keypad. If you hit the press the number 1 button, then I'll get a little notification here that tells me that you've raised your virtual hand so that I can call on you to ask you a question. But in the event that I'm moving through stuff and you can't understand me, or it's just something that it's a burning question and it needs to be answered immediately, feel free to stop me once again just by pressing the number 1 button on your keypad. And so, okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Oh yeah, one more thing. I also put a slide in here as well. I want to encourage any of you, if you are on Twitter, in addition to just following me, you also want to use the 1U hashtag that we've gotten. That basically is to make sure that you're looped in on the conversation for anything union related that happens on Twitter. And in fact, in a few moments, I'm going to tweet that I am doing this lovely training with you folks. Once again, that's myself, Lee Anderson. I tried to get Elizabeth Warren, my good friend, to do this with me, but being a senator and all, she's really, really busy, and so she couldn't actually take the time out to do this training. But no, I'm totally joking. I wish I could get Elizabeth Warren to do trainings with me. But I thought it was a decent pick, so I threw it up. So yeah, let's go ahead now and actually begin to talk about the RePurpose tool, or program, I should say. So, what is RePurpose? It is, in short, if you think somewhere along the lines of airline miles or hotel reward points, something of that nature, coupled with this online gaming thing that's happening right now. Like if you think Candy Crush or Farmville or anything like that, those types of online gaming platforms. We tried to join, like I said, something like an airline miles program along with online gaming, coupled with what our activists are already doing. Those things together gave us the program that we are now calling RePurpose. So that's a little bit about kind of conceptually what it is, but let's really dig into that to figure out exactly what the heck all of that means. So the way that it works is we'll have volunteers who actually come into the office and, they walk a canvas pack, or maybe they're making phone calls for us. Maybe they're helping us, facilitate an event or some sort of training or anything like that. But whatever they do, they come in, they take action. And so now, from there, and I think you all can see my mouse moving around the screen here, this is the first step. Once the information gets entered here in the field office rather, that they've taken this action, they automatically get an email generated to them that basically says, you're an awesome person for taking this action today in our field office, and because you're an awesome person, we wanted to reward you by enrolling you in this wonderful new program that we have called RePurpose. And then that email will also give you the URL that you can use to log on to the RePurpose site to actually look at the points that you've earned, to find out ways that you can earn more points, and ultimately to be able to use the points that you have already earned to do more awesome stuff. So we'll take a look really quickly at some of the different ways that you can earn points. And then we'll talk about some of the different ways that you can redeem those points. But there's mainly two different buckets of activity types, we'll say, that we think of. And those are offline activities, meaning things that actually happened on the ground there, as well as online activities, or anything that can be done digitally through your mobile device, on a computer, anything like that. So as you can see there, some of the most prominent offline ways to earn points are by doing a Canvas shift, maybe doing a phone bank shift, a data entry shift. Some of the other things that I mentioned earlier that we're going to start making it possible for volunteers to earn points doing, are things like also, I know that we have, of course, a lot of labor folks. We want them to be able to earn sites for doing worksite organizing. We want them to be able to earn points as well for doing things on the ground, like helping to facilitate an event or a training. Some of the online measures that they can take to earn points include here, as you can see, things like signing a petition, matching friends on FAN, which is the virtual phone bank tool that we have, as well as making calls with FAN. You can pledge to volunteer. That's something else that you can do online via the RePurpose tool there, or you can recruit friends. Once again, these are all different ways that tool will give you right there online, as far as the online bucket, to earn points. And then the offline things, as we mentioned, things that you would actually do on the ground or at the local field office or any of those things there. So now we'll take a look at some of the ways that you can spend the points. And we've got those divided up into, basically the low cost items, medium cost items, and then high cost items. So the low cost items right now are things like the digital yard signs, which basically is just an image file that we actually have our really talented in-house graphic designers make up for either specific races or, for specific labor-friendly candidates or anything like that. But basically just a digital version of what you might actually see on a physical lawn that we've made, so that you can put it up maybe on your Facebook profile, or, perhaps maybe you want to throw it in an email to share with some of your friends and family or other people who may be interested in the issues, or perhaps maybe that you want to support a particular candidate. But those digital yard signs are really good for that. And those, once again, as I mentioned, are low-cost items. Those are things that within pretty much the first couple of times of you volunteering, you'll have enough points, or your volunteers will have enough points to redeem an item such as that. There are also medium point items, and those are things like buying online ads, or using your RePurpose points to support striking workers. And we'll talk a little bit more about stuff like that as this goes on, and why that is not only important, but particularly impactful for our volunteers to know that they have the ability to do things like supporting striking workers. Some of the high point items were things like creating an online virtual phone bank, or paying for a Canvas team to actually come touch down on the ground where you are to help you, in your campaign efforts. Things like that we saw, like getting the Canvas team. When we originally rolled this tool out in 2012, we did it just literally a few weeks before the election. So we didn't really have enough time and enough capacity to really kind of roll this program out the way that we wanted. But even with, our limited usage of it and limited capacity, one of the things that we saw that actually got a lot of traction was being able to pay for a working America Canvas team. And we'll talk a little bit later on about how that happened, especially considering that it was a high point item. You'll also see that I've got there on the screen. If you have any other ideas, please share them with us. And once again, that's ideas for either how volunteers can be redeeming points or spending points. Because, of course, we know that you all on the ground really are the most tied into these volunteers. And so it's most impactful for us to really get a chance to hear from you all, what are some of the things that people on the ground in your particular region would really get the most use out of. We're going to move on to the next one, to the next slide here, which kind of talks about the account. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time here, but I just wanted you all to be familiar with this, not only for yourselves, but also for any volunteers that you may recruit. There is a screen in RePurpose that allows you to take a look at how many at your footprint, if you will, your profile, your silhouette online with this program. And it has all of the standard stuff like your email, your actual name, your location. It will let you know exactly how many points you've accrued total, and it will give you notifications. So, like for instance, if maybe you suggest an item to us that you would like to see, you be able to earn points for, or maybe an item that you could redeem your points for. Back here in this accounts screen is where you will see the notification. There's also an email notification that you would get, but as far as in the program itself, this is where you would see that notification that request has been received or completed, or and so on. You can also transfer your points. As it says there, you can send some to your friends. Now, I want to stop really quickly there and just talk about why this is so important. As we looked at in the previous slide, the costs for all of the redemption items are varied. Some of them are low cost, some of them are high cost. Some of them are somewhere in the middle. The fact that I mentioned a moment ago that one of the high cost items, which was having the canvassers actually, come and touch down there on the ground, getting more boots on the ground, that was a high point item. The fact that this program allows you to transfer points to your friends is how they were able to do that. Basically, a bunch of activists all got together and said, you know what? This is really, really important. It's GOTV. We really need to get the vote out, to make sure that we've got labor-friendly candidates up and down the ballot. But we think we're going to need a little bit more, a couple more boots on the ground. We're going to need a little bit more help to make sure that we're able to get there and to be successful in this mission. They all got together and pooled their points together so that they were able to get that canvas team to come down on the ground. And that was hugely impactful, not only in terms of just the program, and us being able to talk about it and how powerful it can be, but it was also hugely impactful for them in that race. And also just for them individually as volunteers and activists to know that they were able to, to have such a large, substantial say in how our operations for GOTV went down. The other thing that you'll see here in this account screen is history. So that's things like, any past digital yard signs that you may have redeemed, other past items you've redeemed, as well as completed tasks. And those tasks, once again, are all of the actions that you took on the ground, or that our volunteers take, to actually earn the points in the first place that they are now able to repurpose. We'll take a quick look under the hood, and then we'll talk a little bit more about why this program is so important and why it's so different as well from any other program, that we've seen as far as activist engagement. So as we can see here, everything starts with volunteering, and we covered that a few slides ago. Everything starts with volunteering. Once our people come into the office and they've taken action, they've walked a pack, they've made some phone calls, they help to, do a training, that information gets entered into the LAN. And once the LAN has received that data, that information then kicks it over to RePurpose to say, hey, we had all these volunteers today who came into our office. They all took amazing actions. Here's the different actions that they took, and here's the amount of points that they all need to get for said actions. So it goes from Repurpose, they get those points. And now this really is what makes this program so impactful, is the fact that them having those points and being able to repurpose them and use them for other helpful things is essentially allowing them to direct our program. It gives them a huge say in, actually feeling like they have some real value in terms of being able to say, you know what, I'm on the ground here all the time. I do this every day. I come and I volunteer with you people often. And I know that this is something that's a priority. And we're not going to win this race unless we have those extra boots on the ground, unless we are running more phone banks. And so this is where that is so impactful, is it really gives them the direct opportunity to influence programs. So why use Repurpose? And this kind of, I guess I got a little bit ahead of myself with the last one, but the first thing that you'll mention there, you'll see that it mentions there, is that it empowers our volunteers. One of the things that we found through polling, as well as talking to our volunteers, especially those of them who are at what I like to call the old faithfuls, those are the folks who guaranteed, you're going to see them every Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day it comes, they come in at 3:00 and they're going to stay for a couple of hours on the phone, and, then they're going to help you clean up the office a little bit. And those are the people that we're really targeting here. One of the worst things that we can do for them after they've given us their heart and their soul and their blood, sweat, and tears coming in to organize and help us, further our campaigns, is to do something like give them a bumper sticker or a pen. That's not helpful. It's not what they want. And we really want to give them a little bit more respect than that. And so via the Repurpose program, we found a way to not only thank them, but to also really empower them, to also make them feel like they have real power in this situation, and that their say, basically that we're listening to them and we are valuing their expertise and their activism and being volunteers for us. It also provides incentives. Those two things kind of go hand in hand. That incentive is what empowers them. That is what makes them feel like, I'm important here, I have a say, and I'm going to keep doing this. It also helps us to reinforce best practices, particularly around how we engage with our volunteers. Once again, if any of us who have ever worked in a field office or ran any type of electoral campaign know that we need our volunteers. It would be very hard for us to win anything without the help of the communities that we're organizing in, actually rallying for us to help us further that goal. And it also helps to build local resources because, once again, as we discussed, this ultimately empowers the volunteers to be able to direct where some of our programmatic money is being spent. And of course, considering that any of these initiatives, anything that's offered there in Repurpose, would actually have to start with the locals on the ground. So that means that they've already identified, where possible holes in their program could be. It's also a wonderful opportunity for you to use that to kind of push your volunteers to do a specific thing. If you know that maybe toward your GOTV program, you may have an issue with actually having enough canvassers, start that out at the beginning of your program and let your volunteers know, hey, we're going to do a campaign-wide drive to try to make sure that we have volunteers come GOTV. But by these means as well, it helps you build those resources. It reinforces best practices, provides incentives for your volunteers while simultaneously empowering them. That's kind of what we get out of it. And the list of what our volunteers get out of it looks kind of similar. Once again, it gives them a voice in how we spend those resources. And that goes back to both incentivizing and empowerizing. I just made up a word. And empowering them. It also helps us, as we covered before, build local support for local priorities. If you know that it's something that you're probably going to have a really strong need for later on in your program, you can organize your volunteers as such to try to get them to help you move toward filling in those resource gaps. And last but not least, it's fun. One of the things that we mentioned at the on-site of this was that there was a heavy online gaming component involved in this. Really having that interactivity between people. One of the things that you'll notice in the Repurpose program is that there's a little box down there that tells you who else in your area is using the Repurpose program, who is enrolled in that program, and you can kind of see how you match up against them. So it kind of lets you know that we're not alone, and we're still looking for more ways to really kind of encourage that interactivity between our volunteers on the platform to make sure that it is, something that not only gets them to a very specific end goal in terms of helping us to win these races, but it also is fun. We want it to be something that engages them so that they want to keep coming back. We want our volunteers to always wonder, is there anything new in RePurpose that I, can redeem some of these points for? Are there any more activities that I can take to earn points? So that being said, we've got some a little bit of time here. I think we allotted maybe about an hour for this training, which we definitely didn't need, but that just means that it's more time for question and answer. So as we stated at the onset of the call, if you have any questions, press the number 1 button on your keypad, and I'll see that your hand is raised here, and we'll kind of take the questions like that. Well, I'm not seeing any hands raised, so that either means one of two things. Either it means that I am the master of all things thorough, or I have confused the hell out of everyone. So once again, just, don't be shy. If you have a question, feel free to ask it. But if not, if you look on the screen, once again, there is my Twitter handle as well as my email address. I once again totally encourage you all to follow me on Twitter. Use the #OneU hashtag when you tweet me, and you can ask me a question that way or follow up with me. If you're anything like me, I'm often the type of guy that I'll sit through an hour and a half meeting, and then I have all of my questions, later on that night, when I'm just having my own quiet time, or maybe the next morning while I'm on my commute to work. So if you are one of those people like me and your brain just kind of works on delay, feel free to reach out to me. Once again, my contact information is right here. And if there aren't any questions, I thank you all for joining the call, and you all have a good afternoon.